This is the fourth in a series of flies called Remnant Flies. So this is officially labeled the Remnant Fly number 4. Interesting fly, fun to do. I got the idea as I was rummaging through my box of remnant stuff, thinking of different things to tie. I ran across some soft hackles, and there was this blue hen feather in there. Had some project a long time ago. I can't remember what it was. I was tying up some flies. Might have been a wet fly with a blue throat to it. But anyway, it got thrown in there. And it got me thinking, blue works really, really good for, or I should say really well for panfish and bass in warm water circles. It's a color that shows up well in the water. For some reason, I saw that feather and I thought soft hackle kind of ish thing. Why not do something a little soft hackle on steroids for panfish? So I dug up some orange rubber legs because rubber legs are awesome for any warm water fly, and some nice gold tinsel and some kind of orangish gold dubbing, and went ahead and did the fly. I think it turned out pretty well. It looks like a fun pattern. I'm kind of anxious to actually get it out in the water and just see how well it does. So that's the Remnant Fly number 4, and I'll go ahead and get started. So I'm going to start the Remnant Fly number 4 by placing this hook in the vise. This is a 9672 and about a size 8. I'm going to go ahead and debarb that. Now, as I mentioned, this is going to be a panfish fly. And it all started with this little blue feather here. So, but my concept is kind of a soft hackle type, fly with a panfish twist to it. So to that end, I'm going to attach some thread. This is a fluorescent fire orange in a 70 Denier. And I'm going to attach that thread about an eye length behind the eye of the hook. This is where the thorax will end up kind of being on this fly. Not as concerned about building up thread wraps here because of what I'm planning to do. I'm going to tie in, I want some rubber legs in the back because panfish flies, orange, blue, great colors, and rubber legs are just awesome. So I'm going to tie in just 2 rubber legs for the back. I'm going to leave these together right now. I've got one end that's a little bit split. I'll split that up in a minute. I'm going to tie these down so they're right on top of the hook shank. And then I'm going to wrap those in, working my way down the hook shank. I'm kind of stretching these to thin these out a little bit. You don't have to, but I want to try and keep this kind of smooth. As you'll see, this is, like I said, a panfish fly, kind of a soft hackle spider panfish fly. Going for more panfish type colors here. Then I'm going to bring my thread back up to where I first attached it. Trying to keep those wraps pretty close together. I want this to be fairly smooth. Now, as I had pulled that feather out, as I mentioned, this is about a size 12 gold and silver Mylar tinsel came out. Gold is just such a fantastic color for warm water species that I just decided I'm going to go ahead and put this in as the body. But I'm going to put in a double layer, and that means I'm going to trim the end here at an angle, because when I tie this in, I'm going to tie it in with the gold side up. A lot of times you attach your Mylar in with the opposite side up of the color that you want. But in this case, I'm putting the gold side up because when I start to wrap this, it's just going to go right over to the gold side. And I'm going to put a layer of gold down and then back up. In kind of greenish, brownish, warm water environments, gold is a fantastic color. It just shows up really, really well. So I'm going to put a layer all the way down, and you'll notice I have some gaps in here. That's fine, because when I start to wrap this back up, the second layer on top will cover up those gaps. And the second layer, I usually just make certain I'm getting that in, just overlapping a little bit. Now, you could use other materials for this if you want, some Flashabou or something like that. If you wanted to, it's up to you. You don't have to use the Mylar tinsel. The other thing you could do with this is, at this stage with the body done, to make this a little bit more durable for sharp little panfish teeth, you could coat this with some UV resin or something like that. And that would help protect all of that a little bit. I'm going to bring my thread back just a little bit here. This is where I'm going to put in the thorax. So I wasn't that concerned about this being built up a little bit right here. Now for the thorax, I'm going to use what's called Senyo's laser hair dubbing. I've never used this material before. As I mentioned in my Remnant kit, I also have some sample materials. This is from going to various fly shows over the years where different companies have produced this, like Hairline and Wapsi and Cascade Crest. They'll have little sample packets of new products that they're going to start selling, and they want to get them in the hands of tyers. So I have a number of these bags of samples that over time I just threw in the Remnant bag. And so this Senyo's laser hair dubbing, like I said, I've never used it, but it is a nice kind of yellowish orange color. I thought it would kind of go well with this blue Hackle and the gold. I could have probably used a black or something. I like it has a little sparkle and flash to it. I kind of like that. But I could have done something that has a little bit more of a contrast. I don't know. Because of the blue Hackle, I just decided I wanted to do a bright kind of fly. So I'm going to create my dubbing noodle and start wrapping this in. I don't mind having kind of a larger thorax on this, because after all, this is, for panfish. I'm not necessarily wanting to represent an actual bug that might be creeping around as much as have it have some action and look and proportions and things. So once I've got that thorax in place, I'm going to come back up to the eye and smooth this area off. This is where my hackle is going to go in. So here's that blue hen hackle that I mentioned that started this fly. Pretty simple. I'm going to peel off the fluff here, and I'm going to tie this in just like a English spider or a soft hackle fly. Probably won't be using all of it. These are a little bit longer than what I'm looking for. And I don't necessarily need something that's really, really bushy. I just want something that's going to have some nice legs and some action to it. So I'll take maybe about the middle section of that fly. I'll trim away the tip. Now I've got a little anchor to tie that in right in the head space right here. I'll get that anchored in real well right up against that dubbing. Sorry about my reach, but my hackle pliers are going to make this a little bit easier for me to end up wrapping this in. Stroking those fibers back, I'm just going to start bringing that feather around. And I get about, Looks like about 3 turns there. And that looks about it. I'll go ahead and sweep that back. Getting all of that out of the way. I think I can pop that stem off. We'll see. It might be a little thick. But I'm just going to put a little head right up against all those feathers. I should say barbs. Holding my thread tight, I'm just going to wiggle this a little bit to kind of break that up. See if I can't just pop that off. There you go, it worked. A couple more wraps here. And I will go ahead and get a whip finish in here. Now, I just thought of this while I was doing this. You could actually have put some rubber legs right in the middle of this if you want. I at one time had thought about attaching a couple rubber legs on both sides, coming out each side, some orange rubber legs. That's up to you. This in itself, without the tail, the rubber legs in the back, I think would be just an awesome little fly. But I'm going to go ahead and split this up. So I've got just 2 little tails right there. Pull those out. And I'm going to trim those maybe about the length of the body. So right about... Oh, trim those feathers too. Right about there. You can pull those down so they may be laying down a little bit more, but I just think that, you know, rubber legs and warm water species just kind of go hand in hand. Go ahead and get some head cement on the head there. A little bit of scraggly thread here. So that'll soak down in there and hopefully last a little bit longer against some of those sharp little teeth. So that's our Remnant Fly number 4. Kind of a fun little soft hackle on steroids. How's that for panfish? But just an interesting thing. Like I said, rummaging through the box, I saw that blue feather. At least warm water circles blue is used a lot more often. So it just kind of triggered something in my mind that I could make a little panfish fly and it would make a great little soft hackle kind of thing. And see if I can get those legs down a little bit more. And it worked out. So there's the Remnant Fly number 4. I hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining me at the Vise today. I hope you learned at least a new pattern, if not a new technique, maybe a tip or trick here and there. If you have any questions about this fly or any of the techniques used in constructing this pattern, please leave them in the comments section down below. If you go to the trouble to ask a question, I'll go to the trouble to answer it. If you'd like to help dressed irons, please share this video with your friends and anybody you think that might enjoy this pattern. Until next time, remember, it's fly tying. If you're not having fun, then you're doing it wrong.